in highway safety in Nigeria through standardized drivers and riders training. Well, these will form the focus of our conversation today on Nigeria Today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mikaria Clinton. Now with me in the studio to talk about the clampdown on illegal driving schools in Nigeria is Nkwanta Chidiebere Benjamin. He's a Deputy Corps Marshal training FRSC headquarters, Abuja. It's a pleasure to have you on Nigeria Today.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Also with us in the studio for the conversation is Mr. David Pelgo, proprietor, Pal Dunamis Driving School, Abuja. It's good to have you with us on Nigeria Today.
It's good to be here.
Now, without much ado, let's just, start off this program by asking, what constitutes a fake driving school in Nigeria?
Okay, thank you very much. As the name suggests, fake driving school is a driving school that is fake. Fake in all ramifications. And what makes it fake? If it's not registered, if it has not met the criteria to operate as a driving school, and then if it's involved in illegal activities, and then, contrary to the provisions of the law, then that makes it fake. So that takes me to what then is a proper driving school. What is the requirement or what's the difference? I'll go into a bit of history. Before the advent of the DSSP means Driving School Standardization Program. It's a program of the Federal Road Safety Corps to coordinate, driving school activities and to, generally supervise driving school activities. Before then, driving schools, the business was more of an all-commerce affair. Once you were able to register with the Corporate Affairs Commission as a business, you could operate in any way. There were no standards. No set standards that you ought to meet to operate. Consequently, operators were left to decide what they wanted to do, the kind of vehicles they were going to use, the kind of equipment they were going to use, even the staff, even the type of vehicles. So then, what we used to notice were rickety vehicles, people hanging under the trees in the name of uncompleted buildings in the name of driving schools. And then it was not respected. It was a business that was just more like, had no integrity. Consequently, when FRSC noticed that, and considering the fact that any new driver starts from a driving school, so that was the basic, that was the front liner for driver safety. FRSC decided it was best to organize, regulate these driving schools, set standards that they ought to meet. So those who have not met the standards, who are still operating, are the fake driving schools.
Okay, now, Mr. Pelgo, he's, Kwanta had mentioned quite a lot of things that, constitute a fake driving school. But you would agree with me that if you ask like 10 persons, where did you learn your driving? One will tell you it was my father. The other will tell you my brother. The other one says it's my husband that taught me how to drive. There's hardly somebody that will tell you, oh, I went to driving school, a proper driving school. Yeah. Now, talk to us. In spite of, what he has mentioned, we still have these, will I say, fake driving schools still out there. Yeah. Why do we have them as much as we do?
Thank you very much. Yeah. I believe that in the course of the driving school at its initial, it has become a business. Now, this business, for some, they are not actually ready to follow the standard of the road safety. That is why we have so much of the fake driving school. Now, even in the environment that we have other driving schools that are not actually duly registered. Why? Because it's just like when you have a refinery, you have a fake refinery and you have the original refinery. The same thing when you have the original driving school and you have the fake driving school that are not ready. They're not ready to follow the required standard, to meet up with the required standard for them to be registered. You understand? So I believe that probably their capacity not to be able to meet up with the required standard, probably financially, buoyant to handle that. I believe that is one of it, But essentially, fake driving school are out there. They're out there. We know them, and that is the reason why sometimes we get to talk with them. You'll find out that there are other trainees who will go and train with the fake driving school, but they will one way or the other find their way back to the original school because they are not getting worth of their money.
Okay, now talk to us, Deputy Corps Marshal. Now, what dangers do illegal driving schools pose to road safety?
Okay, thank you. Like I said earlier, and like the Corps Marshal said 2 days ago in the interview, driving schools are the first point of call for driver safety. Because they prepare the drivers, and they certify them fit to drive. The DSSP is designed in such a way that every prospective applicant registers with the driving school and goes through 26 models spanning 3 months, of all kinds of courses. After which he writes a test, a CBT. If he passes the test, then he's now recommended. He has a driving school certificate, which qualifies him now to apply for driver's license. He thereafter approaches the VIO, who conducts a test and confirms that he's fit to drive before he certifies him to be issued a driver's license. Now, the implication of the fake driving schools is that they don't go through these rigors. You have people, they issue certificate by proxy. Some people just come and register and disappear. They don't go through the classrooms, they don't go through the lectures, they don't do the practicals, and at the end of the day, they find a way of getting certificates. Now, the unregistered driving schools are not on the DSSP portal, the FISA portal, just like he was trying to say. That means that if you go to train with the unregistered driving schools, one, they're going to have substandard equipment. They're likely going to do the CBD test for you. You won't do it yourself. You're not likely going to go through the 26 models of rigorous learning. The instructors are not going to be qualified and certified. So they're going to churn out half-baked drivers. And just like you said, when the motive is economic, they just want to make money. They don't care the quality of drivers they are producing. So at the end of the day, they produce substandard drivers who somehow manage to get a license, maybe through connivance, one way or the other. They get a driver's license. And when they get out on the road, they become killer drivers because they are not proficient. They are the ones that cause problems. They are the underage drivers. They are the ones who get different categories of licenses which they ought not to have based on their level of proficiency. But with connivance with these fake driving schools, and then breaking the law somehow, they manage to get driver's licenses. Some of them not even get at all, and they claim that they can drive. A lot of them are just like you observed. There are so many I can drive persons on the road.
Yeah, I can drive. They are everywhere. I can drive.
So many I can drive persons.
I've been driving for a long time.
Yeah.
So such persons were taught by these fake driving schools, and then at the end of the day, they don't know the rules. They don't have the psychology to drive. Because one thing is to know how to be proficient in driving, another thing is have the mental disposition, the psychology to want to drive, which is more important. To be able to appreciate that you have an enormous responsibility as a driver while you're on the way. They don't have that because they've not been groomed. They've not been indoctrinated. So that process, that 3 months training is the process of indoctrination, gradual grooming, practical training, and it disciplines you. At the end of the day, you come out, you're proficient, then you're a proud driver, then you can't get a license.
Okay, now, Pego, talk to us. How can one identify a legal driving school? because you operate one, and I believe that you are licensed to do that. So how can one know, okay, this one is a license or this one is a certified driving school?
Number one, they have an office. They have their classrooms. They have what's called simulators. You understand? And they have like a range where they train these drivers. Now, when you come to a driving school and they don't present to you these items, definitely that is not a good school, or is not a licensed school. A licensed school has all what I've just mentioned. Then the fake driving school doesn't have any of such. Doesn't have.
And could it also be that a certified driving school is also expensive? Because people also look at all this. Maybe this thing is too expensive for me. Let me cut corners.
Now, when it comes to issue of the finances towards the training, we make it such a way that it will be too burdensome. Okay. You understand? Some don't have the finances. Some have a little. Now, we don't say you have to pay everything at a go. Okay. You can pay installmentally to make it easier for you to go in. We encourage students. That is how we encourage them. You can pay installmentally. We don't want to chuck it on your head. Before you finish the 26 modules, you might have gotten your money ready until when your certificate is also ready. So if you find that the person, some are able and some are not, and for those that are not able, honestly, we tend to step down so that they can be able to fit into the driving school.
Now, tell me, how long does it take for a student to graduate to become a driver, like a trained driver? How long in the driving school?
The program spanned about 26 modules, which is like 3 months, that he said. Now, we have different sections in the driving school. You know, first of all, you go through classroom, you go through lectures. That's the theoretical part of the training. Then when you're done with that, then you go to simulator. You understand? Then after simulator, then you now begin to go to the road. Now, throughout the process, there are different dimensions that every trainee must go through until you pass every section of the training. You will not go to the next. Just like when if you don't pass class 1, you will not go to class 2. You understand? The same thing.
Oh, okay, now talk to us, Nkwanta. He just mentioned how long one should train before he or she becomes a driver, and that makes you a qualified driver. But you would agree with me that quite a lot of persons did not go through this rigors, you know. So what is the role of the FRSC in regulating, will I say, fake driving schools? And also, the drivers out there, a lot of persons I can drive there out there, you know, they didn't even go to any driving school, whether fake or, you know, the certified ones. They just land. Some people just pick car and off they go.
Yes, the part A of your question is what do we do with fake driving schools? Usually we carry out random checks. We carry out random checks. We have our intelligence unit, and we have the DSSP team, monitoring team. And so we usually go out to check the driving schools periodically. Even the registered ones, the ones that are doing okay, we still visit them to be sure that because sometimes some of them could, you know the story of the tortoise that borrowed feather. You know that's folklore. You know, some of them can come and borrow vehicles, borrow stuff during the initial inspection. You know, and then when the FISC team comes, they have everything. They have simulator. They have everything. You don't know that they borrowed them. You know, and then you certify them. When you go there after 3 months, they have given back the things to the the real owners, and they're just operating with portfolio, just operating with their computers, you know, and all that, and they've retreated to their mango trees where they stay. You know, so we check them always. We check them always. Then the ones that are not registered, the ones that we clamp down on them, they are fake driving schools. And there's a statutory way of making sure that they don't really operate. You know, I was talking about these 26 models and 3 months training. Thereafter, you do a CBT. And you have a driving school certificate which qualifies you to apply for a license. If you are not registered, you cannot sponsor an applicant for a driver's license.
Oh.
Yes.
Sure.
Oh.
You cannot sponsor an applicant for a driver's license. So it's a waste of time for an applicant to go to a fake driving school that is not registered. Because after that, you can't get a license. You must go through a proper driving school that is registered. And registered means he has met all the conditions, you know, for registration and for operation. And constantly, as we visit, as we monitor them, he's consistently performing. You know, he has certified instructors and all the facilities that my brother mentioned are in place and consistently in place, not borrowed. You know, so such people are the ones that can sponsor applicants for driver's license. Now, how it's done is depending on the facilities you have. If you have like 1 vehicle, you cannot train more than 8 drivers at a time. The ratio is 8 applicants to 1 vehicle and 1 instructor.
Okay.
So if you have 2 instructors and 2 vehicles, then you can sponsor. You can train 16 persons in 3 months. You understand?
Yes.
That way, you're sure that if they are going for practicals and whatever they are going for, you know, it can be accommodated. But the fake driving schools don't have these things. They don't have these privileges. And at the end of the day, they will have to now connive with a registered driving school to sponsor their candidates for the driving school certificate and for them to process driver's licenses.
And they oblige them.
That is where the compromise comes.
Okay.
So we're having issues. This workshop we just had now was to make sure that the driving schools that are registered don't do these things, these infractions that we observe, you know, that is impinging on the reputation of the driving school industry.
Okay. Now, we'll take a short break now. This conversation will continue after the break. Don't go away.
The implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow under digital economy for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different?
We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that our questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today.
Welcome back. This is Still Nigeria Today. We're looking at the clampdown on illegal driving schools in Nigeria. And of course, I have 2 gentlemen here in the studio with me. Now, Pelgo, we've heard quite a lot about, you know, what constitutes a fake driving school and what the FRSC is doing to curb that. Now, would you also let us know, like if somebody wants to walk into a driving school, is there really okay, you've already told us how one can identify a registered driving school. Now talk to us, maybe talk to the viewer about the danger of coming to a fake driving school. Like he mentioned, people compromising.
Sure.
You know, going to even the fake drivers, the fake driving schools, going to the licensed ones to pick, you know, will I say, try to get licenses and all of that. So talk to the people, the dangers involved in all of this.
Well, the danger in allowing a fake driving school to come to a registered driving school is one, the reputation of that driving school is at risk. That's one. If you want your reputation to be dragged to the mud, then you can connive with the fake one to bring their student for you to give them the certificate for driver license. But integrity matters. Very, very important. And the danger of training under a fake driving school is that you will have so many accidents, so many menaces on the road. Like what you said initially, you said, I can drive. As simple as obeying traffic light. As simple as obeying traffic light. That's to tell you that this driver, something is wrong with the driver.
Sometimes it appears that even the traffic light is becoming a decoration, because you just see it, the red there. People are just
you
going,
understand?
you know.
But one of the things that we instill on our students is obeying traffic laws. And as small as that zebra crossing is, you know, some will now pass the zebra crossing and now go under the light, and they will not bring their head back. I mean,
some people don't even understand what the zebra crossing is.
I mean, how could you? You see a fine gentleman with his suit and everything, he would not. I mean, what does that tell you?
Okay, I will have to stop it here, so that Porter will tell us if there's any database for, you know, these certified driving schools, so that people can just log in and say, okay, somebody that wants to learn how to drive, you just log into your system and say, okay, where can I get a certified driving school? Is that available?
Yes, there is. It's available. And the first place, you know, the DSSP program, the Driving School Standardization Program, is a digital program. It's an online thing, you know, that every process of it is done online. So the driving schools, the ones that are registered, we have probably about 1,600 now, or thereabout, registered all over the country. We know that there are much more than that.
Do we have enough to meet the demand of Nigeria?
No, certainly not.
Okay.
More so, we don't have very, very, very standard driving schools. You know, like the real big ones that have all that is required. However, we have the ones that, you know, that are sufficient for our economy.
At least 70%.
To go by now. But FIS is setting up model driving schools. Okay. And then we're partnering with private investors to set up model driving, what a standard driving school should look like. We have a couple of them too coming up. And then we have issues with truck driving schools and other articulated vehicles like forklift, cranes and all that. That area was totally neglected. And then recently we just started issuing licenses for motorcycle operators and keke napep. They were not using driver's license before. You know, because driver's license itself is a project that we're implementing on an incremental basis. We didn't want to just do everything each with our two hands in our mouths. So right now we're doing it incrementally, you know, and then so, you know, it's a work in progress. Okay. You know, the portal is operated by Mariscal. You know, that's the name of the consultant that operates it. You know, and you know, I don't know.
So that's about it. Maybe you have another time to tell us more about that program. So this is where we draw the curtain on today's episode of Nigeria Today. A very thank you to Nkwonta Chidiebere Benjamin, Deputy Corps Marshal, Training, FRSC Headquarters, Abuja. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
And also we have Mr. David Pelgo, is a proprietor, PAL, Dunamis Driving School, Abuja. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
My pleasure.
And thank you for being part of the program. I'm Mikaria Clinton. Goodbye.